All right, so these are all the new foam paddles we got. We've been testing, so let's see how they are. I'll give you a review of the new budget gameplay, and stay to the end to see how you can get one of these for free for yourself. So let's just start off with the comparison of the Ronbuses and the Vatic Pros. So these are the new ones that just dropped. We got the Vatic Pros, I think they're what, like 120, and then there's the Quantas for I think like 120. You get $20 off the Quantas or $10 off the Vatic Pro. So I'll just give my thoughts on each of these and kind of how I rank them. So take a look at my other videos for some, I guess, gameplay or testing of the paddles. I don't have much gameplay up yet, but I'll definitely get some of that. And so just right off, like, should I just start with the rankings? All right, so I'll tell you what my rankings are of all four paddles and what I would compare them to and why. So overall, for budget paddles that are just over $100, I think these are pretty great. Like, I think if you're a 3.0 to 3.5, like, these would work great right out of the box because I guess, frankly, you don't think that much at that point anyways, so it's kind of good for that. They hit pretty solid. They are definitely more kind of foam, like power oriented for being foam paddles compared to kind of some of the older foam stuff that we had before. So to go through the rankings, I think for me, the paddle that I like the most out of these four is actually the V-Sol Pro. So I would liken the V-Sol Pro to almost like a J2NF. So I think so the lineup goes, there's the J2NF, there's the NFT, and then there's the FC Plus. So the NFT is a little bit poppier. So let me just describe the differences. So we have the power and the soul. How do you choose which one you want? I think it's, if you want more stability, then go with the V-Sol Pro that has a little bit more pop. Or sorry, that has a little bit more softness and a little bit less power. And then the V-Sol Power feels like it only has a tad more power, but is a lot more poppy. So kind of the lineup is the J2NF is kind of like my standard middle that I'd refer to. And then I would position the Pro to be a little bit less powerful than the NF, but a little bit more powerful than the FC Plus. And then I would position the V-Sol Power to be kind of positioned here, and then the J2 NFT to be a little bit more power and poppy on that end. So it's almost like you had one solid lineup, and you could position paddles all in between there. So if you're comparing a Vatic Pro to a J2NF, which is like $200 minus some like, like $20 code or something. So it's like 180 compared to like 110, right? Like, and the power is like almost there. Like, why not consider the Vatic Pros? I mean, they are great budget paddles. I do say that you have to tinker with it a little bit with the weighting. I think the Honolulu J2NFs and the FC Plus, they're amazing right out of the box. Like, I can play with those without any weight setup whatsoever, and I think they're great for like balance, like stock. Versus, I think the Vatic Pros, I think if you're hitting them hard and you're getting in the sweet spot, they're really good like all around here. But then actually when you miss hit, I noticed a lot down here is really dampened. So, I mean, I was trying that with, I don't have the exact Vatic Pro Saga like short handle flash, but I have the balloon. If you're hitting down here, you get a little bit less power, but I felt like with the new foam paddles, they died off a lot quicker when you hit the bottom. So if I miss hit and hit anywhere down here, especially for dinks and resets, they just died. And I'll go over later, like kind of ideal like weighting setups, but I felt like to get that consistency, the V-Sol Pro needed to be weighted up a little bit more. So kind of, so yeah, what are my thoughts there? I think of the two, I think for most people, like coming in with a paddle, I think most would probably prefer the VSole Pro just because it is a lot more forgiving. It has better spin. And then if you're looking for something that's a lot more poppy, I felt like the pop was almost more than the Saga 14. So I know this one is a thinner paddle, but I just felt like the pop on this one, it felt very stiff. So if you're used to like a paddle tech with a lot of pop or an engage, then I'd probably lean towards the VSole Power. For my preference, it felt like it hit a little bit more like a piece of wood versus something a little bit more plush. So if you want that like quick pop, then go for the Power. Like in terms of the power difference, it wasn't a whole lot of difference in power. So like the construction inside is a bit different, where the VSole Power utilizes kind of a floating foam. So that's similar to what is it? Similar to the Boomstik. So the Boomstik and the VSole Power have kind of a central area, which is like one foam and then another foam ring all around it, and then it kind of floats in the middle. So that's how it gets its power core, is it sinks in. If I were to design this, I probably would have made that difference a little bit more stark in terms of that floating core to get a little bit more trampoline. Maybe they can't do that because of the PB core like limitations, but I just felt like you're going to get so much more dwell time on the VSole Pro. So if we're going to, I think most people will like this one. Like I mentioned, stock, I think a lot of people can play with this great. At the 3.0, 3.5 level, you're not going to really care too much. You don't dink that much. And if you can generally hit the sweet spot, this paddle feels great until you get into kind of the dinking rallies and resets. But when I was at games with it, I felt like that's where this one was lacking a lot. Right? If you hit anything off center, it kind of dies down here until you throw on some weights to kind of give this a little bit more fuller of a feel. So the core for the VSole Pro is kind of similar to like a Trufoam, where, let me see if I got a Trufoam sitting around. I do, yes. All right, so it's similar to a Trufoam. All right, so the Trufoam is kind of like the tried and true foam that they first came out with. So the interior of the core has these like random like cutout circles, and then that's what it allows it to compress a little bit more into the core. So it said it was patent. I mean, literally it says right here, patent pending. So how this is not patent infringement, I don't know what they actually patent for the Trufoam, but the design of these two is very similar, like in terms of the interior of the core. Like I said, I think the VSole Pro hits a little bit harder stock. I mean, I do have my Trufoam weighted up a little bit. Oh, I guess I got the similar weights here, but I would say stock, this one does hit a little bit harder, more on the high end of all court, low end of power versus kind of mid all court there. So the VSole Pro, if you're looking for something a little bit harder hitting, let me see the sizing. I mean, the TF4 is just a tad longer than the VSole Pro, but it's pretty much the same. I mean, they're both a hybrid setup there. So those two, and then coming back to the Quanta, let's go back over there. I mean, these are the identical, almost identical twins if you're comparing them straight across the board. So we got a Trufoam, the Trufoam Vatic Flash short handle, and then you got the R4. So let's go, now that we've established kind of the differences between the VSole Power and the VSole Pro, let's throw the Quanta into the mix. So VSole Pro and Quanta, this one hits harder stock right out of the box. So I think it's power wise, it's VSOL Power, followed by the VSOL Pro, followed by the Quanta R4, followed by the R5 is kind of the lowest power weighting. So in terms of, I think number one of these four, I like the VSOL Pro first, followed by the R4, so R4, and then I like the, I don't know, the R5 and the, I mean, personal preferences, I don't really like the VSOL Power because it is poppier and a lot stiffer. So I would just throw the R5 in there. I think I could get the power up a bit by throwing on a lot of a weight, which people have been saying. Okay, look out for my future videos. I'm thinking of trying to figure out how I can put one of those MOI weights off of my Boomstik onto one of the Quantas to show kind of what it does. People are saying like, ooh, it's like a Boomstik competitor. Maybe if I throw the MOI weight on that, I can. And for people who don't know, the MOI weight is this little cool like red cap. So let me throw that on one of the Ronbuses to give a comparison. So this is kind of my breakdown of, sorry, let me swap them, of what I like. So I like sorry, it's reversed right here. Okay. So this is one, R4 second, then it's the R5, followed by the VSOL Power. It's kind of my rankings. So that's just my personal take on the feel. And remember, these are all my initial impressions of the paddle plate stock. So without any weights. So because I like the VSOL Pro the most, when I was playing, I did weight it up, like I mentioned, to kind of give it a fuller feel, because I kept missing all these like resets and dinks like repeatedly right into the top of the net. So that definitely got solved by adding on some weights. It gave it a little bit more power as well. So that's kind of the lineup breakdown. I did also try, like I promised, the Avatar. So I think it's a great paddle. It has a lot of spin and pretty good power. I mean, it is an elongated paddle compared to the other ones that are trying, which are more hybrid, but it is like a foam, I believe it should be foam center, but then comparing it to these other options. So this one retail is, what is it, $280? So I think that puts it up in the price range of the Trufoam Genesis Carbon, right? Trufoam also has a new Waves paddle, which should be more power oriented, which I think this will be very similar to in that regard. So should you go and get one of the budget paddles when you already have a Trufoam? I probably wouldn't. So okay, let me tell you what I would do. So if I had a Trufoam Genesis and I wanted more power, I might just wait and get the Trufoam Waves if I'm like carbon fan. But if I want a cheaper option and that's a little bit more power oriented, I think it's going to have a little bit less like give, like in terms of stability, right? Because the Trufoam, I felt like it's very forgiving everywhere around the face. Versus, like I mentioned, the Vatic Pros, they are less forgiving on the bottom, and then the Quantas overall, like they played a little bit hollow, so it felt like it was hitting a soft board, where it was like stiff on the outside, soft on the inside, and stiff again. So that's kind of how it was there. So would I then just go for the budget paddle? I think there's a place where if you want top power, top spin, I would still probably prefer the Boomstik or even like an Avatar or a Carbon. But I think for most people getting into the game or just like mid-range, I think these new budget paddles are awesome, right? They are, I'd say, competitors to the Honolulu at a little bit cheaper price, but it does require a little bit of of tinkering compared to the Honolulus, which I think are great stock. So those are my overall thoughts. Like, subscribe, check out the bio for links on how to register to get your own free paddles. So be on the lookout. Again, if you want any of these paddles for free, check out the bio description, and we'll see you next time with a couple updates on new paddles coming in the pipeline. I know Ben Butter Locos and Spartus GT is on the way, so I'll give you guys an update on those. All right, see ya.